All right, thank you everybody for tuning in to the nation as we begin to talk a little bit about Ezekiel Elliott's contract. I know, it's a tough pill to swallow when we start talking about the Ezekiel Elliott's contract. You know that's my guy, and we're hearing a lot of news and a lot of noise out there that they're saying that he may not get his contract extended from ESPN and things beyond. But neither here nor there. We going to look into 105.3 The Fan. The guys discuss Ezekiel Elliott's contract, and I'm going to give you guys my feedback on everything. But shout out to 105.3 The Fan. I really appreciate them for putting out the information for the nation.
His money this offseason, and he may not be getting it next offseason either. That report from Dan Graziano, ESPN NFL Insider. It's Sean and RJ on the home of America's team, 105.3 The Fan. And Zeke could be the odd man out when it comes to Cowboy contracts. I know there's a ton of Tolos that do not like that suggestion and idea. Universally, we all said, along with Kavanaugh, we would pay Byron Jones over Zeke. It's not that Byron is a better player. It is just all the worries. The worries about the position and the worries about Zeke off the field. But when it comes to Zeke...
All right, let me add some context to that Byron Jones over Ezekiel Elliott. Everybody know that when you start talking about a cornerback career span, they typically are longer than running backs. Remember, the running backs is 3 to 5 years. And also, if you add in the fact that Ezekiel Elliott got, some off-the-field deals that's going on and happening throughout his career, you may lean more towards the cornerback. But that's a story of a different day. But that's just the context of it. You look at the cornerback, you think that a cornerback can last you 10 to 15 years, give or take. And a running back is only going to last you 3 to 5 years, give or take. But to me personally, just to me, Ezekiel Elliott is transcending. He's a different type of guy. You just can't put him in that particular box. I'm telling you, he's special.
Zeke Elliott, Graziano is saying no. He's talked to people who have said that prioritizing Zeke is behind Byron Jones and obviously behind Dak Prescott and Amari Cooper, and that they have reasonable team control over him for the next 3 seasons if they want.
That's the case. And, if you're going to figure out which one you're going to pay, and this is Fish said basically they're handing out 4 contracts, and then whoever signs one first gets the first one.
Including Jalen Smith. They picked up Zeke's option for 2020. That's $10 million.
Right. But.
Which is a steal.
Right. But it's not like they're handing out 4 of the same contract.
No, they're not.
So it's not really it doesn't really work that way, like that Zeke is potentially the last one to go, right? Because, if they were to hand Zeke a contract that is for $2 million, just $5 million a year, of course he's not going to sign it.
Right.
But if he signs it and he gives you this team-friendly deal, well, that doesn't mean that you chose him first. It means he blinked first.
Right.
That's it.
If Zeke...
I don't see nowhere that Ezekiel Elliott is going to sign a team-friendly deal. If Ezekiel Elliott signed a team-friendly deal, then that will be because Jerry Jones is paying him under the table. And the reason why I don't see Ezekiel Elliott signing a team-friendly deal is because of this. Think about this. Ezekiel Elliott lost all of his sponsorship because of the domestic violence situation when Roger Goodell's of the world's suspended him for 6 games, and he was going in and out of that situation. Because we already see the off the contract deals for Dak Prescott and off the contract deals for, I'm talking about NFL contract for other players. So if you add into the fact, we rarely see commercials with Ezekiel Elliott. Now, if Ezekiel Elliott never, ever got into trouble, there'll be commercials out of the wazoo for him. But that's just the reality of it. He's just not going to have these type of things.
Says, I'll do 13. That's a done deal, probably. If Dak says, I'll do 28, that's a done deal, probably. Yeah, if Amari says, I'll do 16.
Oh, what does he want? Oh, that's the thing. What does Amari really want? If it's 16,
not 22.
That's not the highest paid.
Right.
Right. That's not near the highest paid. He said he didn't really care to be the highest paid. But if he wants 16, what are they waiting for? What is he waiting for? Waiting for Michael Thomas?
Maybe he's waiting for Michael Thomas.
Well, he's going to get 22.
Well, if Michael Thomas gets 22,
Then what's Zeke going to do? Then what's Amari going to do?
Then Amari says, "Hey,
I think he more so waiting
then
for
you ask
Julio
for
Jones.
then you ask for 20, and then you settle at 18. You try."
You try. But, I mean, I guess what I'm saying is, are they really going to...
But that's what Fish has been saying this entire time. Sorry to cut you off. He's saying it's not the Cowboys waiting. It's Dak waiting for Wentz and Goff.
Yeah.
Amari waiting for Michael Thomas. And while it's the offseason, that makes sense. To me, when you start running around and you put on pads and you go to training camp and practice, then you're rolling the dice on an injury. But you have nothing to lose in the offseason unless you're going to get hurt at a mini camp or an OTA or blow something out.
Absolutely.
Otherwise, let all the other guys go and lock their money up and then use that to your advantage.
Yeah, now the one thing is,
the money's already out. The contract precedent's already out there for Zeke. No one else in the next year, unless I'm blanking on someone, is getting more than Todd Gurley and Le'Veon Bell. The market is set and it's staying. Just like it did for some reason, the corner market doesn't leapfrog Josh Norman.
No.
I don't understand it. I guess there's a lack of great corners in the league until Jalen Ramsey resets the market. But up until then, it's been Josh Norman. But the running back market ain't changing for the next year or two.
No.
Yeah, true that. The market, once it's set, it's set. A lot of times, at certain positionings, you'll have a Josh Norman out there who get that big money, and then everybody else is waiting for that big cash to come through. But to be real with it, Josh Norman kind of finagled his way into that big contract. He only had one good year, solid year with the Carolina Panthers, and then Redskins just reached into their pocket. And we already know the Redskins always overpay. They pretty much are the market setters. Remember the Landon Collins deal? I mean, that set the market for a box safety, getting paid cornerback money. Now the next box safety, there's time for him to get paid. They're going to want that cornerback money just like Landon Collins. So the market is kind of crazy in a sense. Far as they're probably right with the running back. Now, sometimes teams have a lot of money left in the cap and they can front load a lot of money. For example, and I'm not saying that Khalil Mack is trash or anything, but what the Bears ultimately did was they reset the market. $141 million. There's a lot of money at that time. That was quarterback money for Khalil Mack. And to me personally, just to me, it wasn't worth the grain of salt. But everybody's going to look at it and say, okay, well, Khalil Mack is a dynamic player. But let's wait until like year 4, year 5 into that mix, or year 3 into that mix. We'll see. We'll see, was it worth it? Because now how you going to put pieces around it? Just how the market is, though. So we'll see. And Ezekiel Elliott, you got the Saquon Barkleys, and then you have Alvin Kamara. Those guys, when it's time for their contracts to be up, they're going to look at Todd Gurley's contract. And I believe that Ezekiel Elliott's camp, they're really looking at Todd Gurley's contract and saying, okay, I can't pay Ezekiel Elliott 9.1, whatever his market value is. And so far, every major player that signed this year signed above the market value. So it's crazy that Michael Thomas' market value is $20 million. He's asking for $22 million. So, and of course, Carson Wentz got $33 million, 107, I think $107 million guaranteed, paid above his market value. At the time, his market value was 29.5. So we're going to have to dive real deep into these markets. Once they're set, they are set. And the person who flipped the market around was your boy, Russell Wilson.
It's probably not.
Until Zeke changes it.
And Zeke will change it. Now, look, I mean, is Amari, if Michael Thomas gets 22, which is out of sight.
Yeah, which is ridiculous.
Can you justify? I know the Saints are justifying giving Michael Thomas that money.
No, they're not. By the way, let me be on the record. You can't pay Michael Thomas $22 million. No,
it's a brutal amount of money.
Absolutely
You're paying,
not.
That's quarterback
I'm
money.
going to pay him $6 million than what I was thinking about paying Dak, or I'm going to pay him $6 million, $8 million less than Matt Ryan makes. No, Hell no. You're not getting $22 million.
Especially
Let me
when-
just be clear on that.
Especially when his quarterback won't be around to see the end of that contract.
Yeah, and Michael Thomas is an absolute stud. I mean, this guy's a beast.
Okay, Michael Thomas,
Probably the most underrated. It could be the most underrated player in football.
he catches the ball at a rate
Not versus
that a
Byron
wide
Jones.
receiver should not be catching footballs.
What do you mean?
Drew
Like
Brees.
the numbers show that?
He catches over 80% of the passes thrown his way.
Yeah, 82 point. He set a record for wide receivers. Those are running back.
Running backs catch the ball 80% of the time.
Those are guys who catch the ball 5 yards down the field.
Right.
That's what their percentage
Running
is.
backs catch the ball at 80% clip because they're screen
I'm
passes.
still taking DeAndre
This is a
Hopkins
wide
over
receiver
Michael Thomas.
catching balls at an 80+% clip. That doesn't happen. Now, he's probably doing it in part because he has arguably the most accurate quarterback that's ever lived.
True.
And he's put the ball right in his hands. But still, man, that is unbelievable.
When it comes to Zeke and his money, and I said this last week before I flew out to Vegas, that I was just starting to hear a whisper or two that Zeke would be the one left out in the cold. You remember me saying that?
You did.
And
You did.
And I was like, why? I asked this person why. Stevens made the public comment.
Well, Stephen Jones already said that Ezekiel Elliott is a straw that stirs the drink, so I really don't see how in the world that Ezekiel Elliott being left out of the loop. But, you know, sometimes they masquerade a lot of stuff and they try to throw a lot of charm in the water to seeing who's going to bite. But my thing is, the Dallas Cowboys are not stupid. I don't think they're stupid with these contract negotiations, and I think that they're probably squeezing Ezekiel Elliott, letting him know and his agency know that, hey, we can't have these F ups. And we'll try to keep it PG-13 if you know what I mean. We can't have these F ups basically because they probably had the pen in their hand and it was ready to write that contract. As soon as that Vegas situation happened, they said, "Can we get another pen?" And all of a sudden, the pen was dry. And they said, okay, we're going to stop this and we're going to pause and we'll come back to this meeting on another date. So that probably what's going on.
He's talked about his floor at 16. He's talked about him being the straw that stirs the drink, the old Reggie Jackson line. And the person said back to me, exactly. When do they ever talk about anyone publicly like this except for the quarterback? And they don't.
No.
They don't talk about anyone publicly like that except for Dak. So just a little bit weird. And then I heard KT float. He floated this, okay? He put the arm floaties on it. Are they waiting on some type of discipline from the Vegas incident?
They better not try to.
That would be ridiculous if they lit him up. Randy Gregory is going to come back to play after failing another weed test, like his 90th, and Zeke is going to get punished again by the league for that incident in Vegas. He cannot get games for that. There's no way. I'll go and protest myself outside the offices of the
All of us
NFL
should
for that
go
Vegas
protest.
incident. Although someone texted me and said they told him, don't mess up again. Don't screw up again. And he technically did. But there's no way.
That's an incident. That's part of the part B of the
He wasn't arrested.
article against, whatever it was.
You don't have it memorized that Fish has told us 50,000
No, I
times?
don't have it memorized.
Article 239
Yes.
or something like that.
But anyway, part B of the decision on Zeke was that he cannot have any more incidents with authorities.
Yeah. Incidents,
Man.
period.
But see, that's not an incident. That was a security guard, not a official policeman or what have you. It's kind of like me trying to give somebody a ticket for running a yellow light. It's not an actual ticket. Just because you ran a light while it was yellow doesn't mean that you qualify for getting a ticket. I just don't see that being an issue. And if I'm Ezekiel Elliott, you got to say, come on, Roger Goodell, come on. I mean, this league would be crazy to suspend Ezekiel Elliott or to say he get more than 3 or 4 games of suspension when you got other people that's out there that are actually getting arrested and they're not even bringing those topics up. That's a story of a different day. At the end of the day, Ezekiel Elliott never been arrested. I'm gonna knock on some wood, but he's never been arrested. So I don't see the angle of Roger Goodell trying to say, okay, hey, he had another hiccup. Nah, it's kind of like me running a yellow light and the police officer pull me over and they say, you know what, slow it down next time. And then all of a sudden the NFL saying, hey, since the police officer pulled you over, here's the ticket. Here's the game suspension because we told you life shouldn't work that way. Let me know if you guys agree or disagree.
Period. That's it.
So
That was technically an incident.
So this is Dan Grazi.
Technically an authority? I don't know. I don't know.
He was put in cuffs.
Yeah, he was put in cuffs.
Sorry, I'm thinking more the interaction with the bouncer.
Yeah, I know.
Versus then the follow-up interaction with police.
Right.
I don't consider the first an interaction with like law enforcement. The second,
No,
though, yeah.
he's a bouncer and authoritative figure.
Then ended up in handcuffs somehow, some way. Although I'm saying that would be, I'd be outraged. It'd be stunning. Way more stunning for him to be suspended a game for that than him getting screwed with the abuse case.
So are you suggesting to an extent that the Cowboys are like fluffing him up in the media to attempt to prevent him from holding out by making him think that money's coming down the pike, and then when the ultimate time comes to pay him, they're going to pull the carpet out from under his feet?
I think that the public comments are just to not make waves. I don't think that it's a negotiating tactic. I think it's to just not make waves. And they might be giving him some room. You benefit two ways. Number one, we're not going to pay you $17 million. We can pay you 10, and then we can franchise you. We got you under control.
They're also not going to pay him until they know who their coach is for the next several years. If they don't keep Jason Garrett, they're going to hire a offensive coach. An offensive coach is not going to want to inherit a $15 million running back.
True.
You can't. You say you can't sign your quarterback without the coach's permission. You cannot have a $15 million running back for a new coach.
So Dan Graziano saying he's hearing Zeke may not be getting paid this offseason, next offseason either. I will predict this. Zeke has made enough as a number 4 overall pick. I think that'd be another Le'Veon situation. That's what I would do if I was Zeke. I'm holding out on you. You're paying me. I am the reason that this offense is not completely sunk. By the way, that's true. I'm not just making Zeke's argument. He is the straw that stirs the drink. He makes the world go round. He bails them out. He puts it on his shoulders. It ain't the quarterback. For all you Dak lovers, KT, it's the running back responsible for everything offensively until Amari Cooper got here for 8 games. Period. All right, Crosstalk with G-Bag is coming up at 9.
All right, so that was the end of that. Hey, my thoughts on this all together collectively as we talk about Ezekiel Elliott's final contract with the Dallas Cowboys. No, my thing is Ezekiel Elliott needs to get paid regardless of what the Joneses are thinking. Now, as far as off the field, Ezekiel, maybe he can get some counseling, some help for that. But my whole thoughts on this whole entire deal is just go ahead and pay the man and figure out something. Now, as far as all of the other running backs, the Le'Veon Bell situation of him holding out, I don't think that Ezekiel Elliott got that leverage because of the off the field situation. Because of he been suspended for over 6 games or 6 games and got the commissioner all up his what. So I don't think that he has a longitude or latitude like Le'Veon. Of course, Le'Veon Bell had his mishaps, but it wasn't on the level of Ezekiel Elliott. I think that Le'Veon Bell had more leverage, and especially Jerry Jones seems like the type. Once you cross him and he help you out, I don't think that. You want to cross over on Jerry Jones like that. Emmitt Smith was able to hold out for those 2 games and got his money because it was a different era, different time. And then on top of that, Emmitt Smith, as it relates to being on the field and off the field, I mean, he was a choir boy compared to Ezekiel Elliott. So, well, I really appreciate each and every last one of you all. Thank you all for tuning in to the show. Let me know how you guys feel about Ezekiel Elliott. Should the Cowboys go ahead and pay the man, or should the Cowboys just franchise tag him, wait, squeeze him out, don't pay him, hope and pray that Tony Pollard is going to be like this guy that's going to come out of nowhere and surprise the league and get Rookie of the Year and those type of things and just say, hey, Zeke, we love you, man, but it's time for you to go because we got Tony Pollard. Let me know how you guys feel about this whole entire situation. That's been my time. I really thank you all for yours. And remember, you're listening to nothing but the best. Salute. I'm out. Peace.